So that's some sequences we put together for hard work that went on by some of the Warriors this season so far. We're very fortunate to have 4 Warriors with us tonight. And I'm going to introduce them individually. If you could just put your hands together as each of them come up. The first, a fantastic effort from him through the Six Nations game he played in, but he also scored a magnificent try at the weekend to give us a victory against the Ospreys. He plays for Scotland and for Glasgow. It's Tommy Seymour. The next player he's come from strength to strength since I joined Warriors. He had scored 2 magnificent tries against Italy in our victory over there for Scotland. He plays for Scotland and for Glasgow. He plays in the centre, and it is Alex Dunbar. Next player is one of the hardest working second rows that we have in the club. He came from Newcastle Falcons a couple of years ago. He's made it to the Scotland set-up now, and he just about cemented his place there permanently. He is, of course, Tim Swinson. And last but not least, because he thought this was tomorrow night. So we texted him on his way here. Chris Fusaro got his first cap for Scotland today. This was all about sacrificial acts, the video, and you probably saw a lot of stuff that he was doing there. He's a magnificent number 7. He plays for Scotland and for Glasgow now. He is Chris Fusaro. Nicola, can you help me out here? I'll start off with a couple of questions, and then we'll go into the ones that have been submitted by yourself. Okay, Chris, I know you were last here, but first question to you. How emotional were you getting your first Scottish cap at Murrayfield?
Yeah, it was very emotional. Obviously, to get my first cap against England made it that more special. I had all my family there, my girlfriend was there, and my little friends from back home as well. So it feels like, obviously, I felt like I'd been waiting a long time for it, and like I said, for it to come against England at Murrayfield was absolutely fantastic, and just the whole experience, just soaking in the atmosphere at Murrayfield, the crowd, having a sellout crowd, just made it brilliant.
Great, Swindon. We're relaying the pitch at Murrayfield. How difficult a pitch was it to play on during the Six Nations and then obviously the Edinburgh game as well? And what difference will it make to have a better surface at Murrayfield?
As a surface, Murrayfield was pretty bad to play on. To scrummage it was pretty much impossible to get any purchase. I don't know much about stepping, but the backs didn't seem to like it either. It would be a great addition to Scottish rugby to have a new surface at Murrayfield. Like usual, Fergus.
Just like usual, yeah. Okay, Tommy, you scored a great try on Friday night to secure a victory against Glasgow. Obviously, we're hoping that we qualify for the playoffs. What other teams do you think will be there and why? What's wrong?
Against Glasgow.
Is it against Glasgow? You know what, man? For Glasgow.
I think if you look at it, the way that the league's shaping up at the moment, we've put ourselves in a decent position with the games in hand we have. That being said, we've got some difficult opposition to come. But apart from us, you'll have to look at the 3 Irish teams at the moment at the top, the Leinster, the Munster, and the Ulster. They're looking very strong at the moment. Leinster and Munster are used to playing in those playoff positions. They're used to being in the top 4 most years. So you'd be a hard man to bet against those guys. And Ulster obviously playing very well. Whether they get distracted if they go on after the quarterfinals of the Heineken Cup, I very much doubt it. So they're looking odds-on favourites. So it's looking like it's going to be between those guys and Ospreys as well as ourselves to try and compete for those top 4.
Yeah, thanks. Alex, in the intro, I mentioned the 2 tries against Italy. Is it unusual for you to score 2 tries in a game?
Yeah, pretty much. Not renowned to be a try scorer, so that was good to get on the score sheet though.
That was short and sharp. So we've got a question from Edmund Murray. And I'll just pass the microphone along, let everybody answer it. How does the international setup differ from the Warriors setup? Be careful how you answer this.
The 2 setups differ. I think really the preparation time that you have with the players. Most of the squad at Glasgow have been together now for leading on 4 or 5 years, and in general, I now have been here 2 years. And with Scotland, you've got guys coming from different teams, from Premiership, from French sides, with different principles in place at their own clubs. It's just really getting a unified vision and a unified sort of way of going forward, but differs slightly.
Anybody else want to comment? No. 16th Warrior, a question from the 16th Warrior. So, and again, I'll say this to every question, be careful how you answer it. How do you relax after each game and between games? Fuzzy?
Well, obviously, after games, the night after games, it's sometimes quite difficult to wind down because there's a big adrenaline rush, obviously, and you're always quite sore. So some guys have a couple of beers, some guys just go back to their flat, have a bite to eat and relax. But I think the best thing to do is to try and get away from rugby and try and switch off. You've got the day after. Well, in fact, if it's on a Friday night, you don't have to do analysis till Monday. So some things are, you can be quite emotional after games, and so it's good to kind of put it to bed and then look at it again when you've got a cool head. But
that's not always the case though, because sometimes you're going on a Sunday, like last Sunday we were in, weren't we?
Yeah, sometimes the coach makes us go on a Sunday. It's up our weekend. No, really. So if it's if we've got a quick turnaround, like Fergus says, we try and get it on a Sunday just to try and get the game out of our legs. So we'll do a bit of recovery, do a bit of a swim, maybe some weights, and then we'll go over the game together. And then maybe on a Monday we'll do it on a more individual basis.
Okay, Alex, you want to ask the next one? It's the 16th Warrior again. If and when we meet the players, who would you prefer to meet and why? Playoffs, sorry. If and when we meet the players. Sorry guys, I can't read the writing very well.
Just anyone really. It's always going to be a tough game, no matter who you play. So I think it would be good to, from a personal point of view, face Leinster again. We've lost them a couple of times in the playoffs now, so it would be good to put one over on them.
And Tommy, here. A question from Harvey. So do you think the atmosphere in Scotland is better than it was at Firhill?
Yes.
No, I knew at some point somebody was going to do
that.
Yeah,
I mean, Firhill was great. I had 1 year there. My first year was at Firhill. And I'll be honest, for having, the one stand, see the majority of the supporters being in there for most games, they made an awful lot of noise, and they did actually create a very good atmosphere just coming from the one stand, which is incredibly hard to do. That being said, us moving to Scotland, all the boys are training there. It's our facility; it feels like our home. So that, on one basis, helps us. Feel like it's a nice ground, and we want to be playing there. It feels like it's part of our everyday. And that being, on the other hand, we've got supporters surrounding us as well, which always helps. If you've got, especially as a winger, if you're playing half the game with the supporters on the other side of the pitch, sometimes it can feel a little bit quiet. So it's great having supporters everywhere.
So, who's Harvey? Right, because you've got a lot of questions in here. So this is for you. Okay, apart from second row, which obviously needs improvement, are there any positions where you think the Glasgow squad could be strengthened, apart from second row?
At the moment, our squad has got a huge amount of competition playing for places. We've got quite 2 lines in the back 3. We've got 6 internationals, I think, Tommy. Something like we've got a super people across the park. In my position itself, we've got 5 international second rows. Ali's had over 50 caps for Scotland, and Johnny Gray, he looks like he could be going that way at some point in his career. So, it's incredibly tough, and that's why competition is good, because it'll improve all the players in our team, regardless of who you are. And we can only really do that by getting better players, coming in with better players, and improving ourselves.
Okay, another question from Harvey, believe it or not. Okay, controversial one. Should Scotland have a third pro team? Fuzzy?
Well, again, on from Swindon's point, I think competition for the Scotland team would only make players better. So with another pro team and more pro players, I think that would only increase the quality of the national side. But obviously, that being said, the one at the borders, it didn't go too well. So I think the way they set it up would have to be hard. Would have to be looked at quite hard, and they'd have to plan it very thoroughly. But being an ex-Cali boy, I'd love for a team in Caledonia to be set up again. I think that'd be really good for the area. But yeah, like I say, it would only make Scotland go from strength to strength, I think.
Okay, a question from Sarah Berry. Tommy, you scored at Murrayfield, haven't you? So what's the atmosphere like when you score a try at Murrayfield?
Yeah, amazing. It's pretty spectacular. Obviously, as the Fusaro alluded to, playing there on any occasion. But scoring anywhere, whether it be schoolboy rugby or whatever, it seems to get a lot better. And Murrayfield's no different from that. The supporters are amazing throughout the game. So when you get an opportunity to score a try and celebrate with them, then it's obviously gives it that extra bit of a buzz.
Okay, Alex, you can answer one. You haven't answered one for a while. Susan Ritchie, this is from. So, what's your daily routine like pre-match? Should I not have asked you?
Pretty chilled out, really. Generally get up quite early in the morning, just get some breakfast, and then it's generally just a relaxing day. If you've got any bits of admin to do or paperwork or anything, try and do that. Maybe head up to the pool, sit in the jacuzzi for a little bit, and then afternoon, depending on how you feel, sometimes a little sleep, and then it's all about just getting ready for the game. So pretty chilled out.
Okay, Swindon. After the this is from the 16th Warrior again. I'll answer this. I'll ask this question, then I'll throw it out to the floor if anybody wants to ask any questions that have come up. Haven't watched the video and listened to the guys chatting. After Six Nations disappointment, how did you manage to pick yourself up and revert back to club training, etc.?
I think you've got to really focus on our performance and really wanted to get better. You come back here with a group of guys that you worked with for, my case, over a year and a half, and they're like your mates as well as your colleagues, and to come back there and not give it your all is pretty hard to do. So you come here and you're enthused every day just to improve. So in all honesty, it's not as hard as it seems.
Okay, any questions from the floor? We've still got 100 more questions from Harvey here, so nobody with any questions? Have a think about it, then we'll go through another couple of questions. Whose turn is it? Fuzzy again, I think, probably. So, from Edwin Murray, what do you think Vern Cotter will bring to the Scotland head coach role?
Obviously, difficult to say. I've never personally met the man, but he seems to have a good record at Clermont. Obviously, the French top 14 is a very hard league to compete in with the calibre of all the teams. So hopefully he can bring all that experience to Scotland and really take us forward.
Any questions from the floor? Jim, you've got 100 questions here as well. Go on.
Alex, I'd like to ask you about your two tries, which I thought were amazing. And I know you were doing special speed training with you. So, how fast have you improved in time over are you quicker over a shorter distance or quicker over a longer distance? You're 25 meters, we'll go 25 metres down to 10.
Yeah, good. Probably quicker over a shorter distance. Generally blow up if you get much more than 50 metres. I've worked quite hard with Hugh Jones at the Warriors for a couple of years now, so starting to see some of the benefits now. He works hard with all the backs, especially twice a week, just doing speed sessions. So I think everyone will say the same thing, that he's improving the boys each week.
Tommy Carlin Isles is with us now. Have you raced him yet?
I don't intend to.
Anybody?
No. John Welsh has, though. Yeah, I think Welsh got him out. One of the first sessions we had was at Tory Glen. So we had Welsh on the 18-yard, the edge of the 18-yard box, and Carlin starting from the goal line, and it was a race over. I don't know what it was, 50, 60 metres. Welsh managed to pip him, but Carlin assures us that was because he was tired. I think he's put a £100 wager or something like that on the return leg.
Any questions from the floor? When you go.
Could I ask if you have a view about the proposals that are looking around about the change to how the Heineken Cup? How do you think that might impact, particularly at club level?
I think in general, club rugby itself is separated into leagues, and you compete in your leagues. From a Glasgow point of view, one team out of Scotland seems like it's going to be going into the new European competition, and that's if they finish and if you finish in the top 6 as well. So to be honest, we're finishing above Edinburgh anyway, so we'll be in it.
Okay, I've got another question here from Annan. To avoid postponement and bad weather, would the Warriors consider playing at Broadwood if Scotland was unavailable? I know it's not up to you guys, but a 3G pitch, obviously we've been talking about that for a while. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Obviously we played Cardiff twice this season on the 3G pitch down there, and it was very good for the style of rugby we play, so it would be nice to get a 3G pitch in at Scotstoun. Obviously we don't know what's happening off the field, that's left to the bosses upstairs, so I think Broadwood, it's a 3G surface, obviously. If games got postponed, I'm not sure. Obviously we like the crowd at Scotstoun, so and the atmosphere they create there, maybe moving away, that wouldn't be as good, so I'm not sure what the best way forward is. Maybe just a better pitch at Scotstoun.
Okay.
I went to the supporters meeting at the start of the season, and one of the things that Gregor Townsend said, you'd have to cut down on the number of penalties you were giving away. Now, I haven't actually seen this cut down in the number of penalties. No, seriously, it's cost us games, and I have to say that on many occasions the opposition kicker is better than ours. And with that game against the Dragons, we just threw it away. They were just waiting for us to give away a penalty, which we did, and we lost a game which we'd never have lost. But I mean, has there been a conscious effort to cut down on the number of penalties that we give away?
Yeah, there has been. We analyse every game every week, and the difference I think between where we are sitting in terms of penalties given away and Leinster, who are at the top of the league, is something. It's like 1 point something penalties. So it's very, very small margins. But like you say, those small margins can be the difference in the outcome of a game. But we do things at training. We always talk about it. So it is always in the forefront of the guys' minds to not give away silly penalties. So we are definitely making a conscious effort to reduce it.
I think, if I can make a point on that as well, Gregor talked, you're quite right about the amount of penalties given away. Ulster and Leinster were the two lowest penalised squads, and he recognised that, and we all recognise that as a means that we have to, that will make, that's the teams that won the competition or won the final. So we've made a conscious effort to try and do that. The difficulty is, last year we had a great season, a good season, and the teams that we're playing against now are making it an awful lot harder for us, because it's not an easy just turn up and play Glasgow and we'll get a win. These guys are producing the goods every week in, week out, so the other opposition are trying so much harder now whenever they play us.
Can I just say one thing on that? From my point of view as well, I think, just when you mentioned about like goal kickers and things like that, I think, I wouldn't want to take away credit to some of the goal kickers we have. We have some very good goal kickers. You look at Duncan Weir 2 years ago, the first year I got, and I think he got the Golden Boot for the year. Things like that. And I think you also got to look at percentages, we have the best, try conceding record in the league, I think, so we concede the least tries, so teams know they have to work away sometimes, and sometimes penalties get given, and that's the way it is, but I think, when Chris said we've been improving as much as we can, I think if you look on Friday night against the Ospreys, they were the top try scorers in the league, I think, this year, and we kept them to nothing, and then at the very end of the game as well, I think they heaped a lot of pressure on our line, and boys did very well not to, to stay onside and to not put our hands in the ruck when we didn't want to, and it forced them to go for the drop kick, which obviously was charged down brilliantly by Nico. So it just shows you the improvement we are. It is a conscious thing that we are trying to improve all the time, and I think Ospreys is a perfect example of us making sure that those fine margins, like you speak about, are being wavered onto our side.
And one of the stats from last year was that when we played the Ospreys, they'd had 16 tries scored against them all season. That night last year, we scored 5 tries against them, which was a testament to the guys and the effort they put in, and that just shows you we scored 1 try, nearly 2 tries at the weekend, but it was down to the effort these guys put in, and it's how hard the opposition are now trying to play against us to make it so much harder. They've done a lot of analysis on us now, and that brings me on to the next question from Jim Smith, which is, and Alex, you can answer it, but I know none of you are kickers, but when will we get a better percentage as regards kicks for goal? Tommy mentioned it.
Yeah, Tommy sort of touched on it. We've got some good kickers within the club. Some of the kicks that are missed.
On Friday night, our nails were shattered. The last 60 minutes of the last 60 seconds, rather, were probably the longest 60 seconds of my entire life. But on a serious note, if we'd kicked 2 reasonably kickable kicks, they wouldn't have had the drop goal chance. And
see the boys' defence. The wind was unbelievable on Friday night. You guys were on the pitch. We were in the stand. Whilst it felt windy in the stand, I don't think it's anything like it was in the pitch. You can see that from the way they were kicking in the first half, or kicking in the first half.
Yeah, that's been the case for quite a lot of the season. The weather's been good through the week, and then it comes to Friday night, 5:30, and it starts to rain, and the wind picks up a little bit, and there's not a lot of support to stop the wind coming right across the pitch, and sometimes it's just some of the conditions. The kickers sort of struggle, and a bit of the field position as well. Quite a lot of kicks we've missed have been sort of long range, so the kickers are working hard, and we've got some good kickers, so hopefully if the weather picks up and we've got a good pitch, the percentage will go up.
Don't know why you look at me. Swindon, given Vern Cotter will have only 4 from Edmund Murray, given he will have only 4-day experience of the squad, what do you think the realistic options for the summer tour are?
Realistic options for what? For winning games. You need to word your questions better, Fergus.
Edmund's question. Sorry, Edmund. Apologies.
I think we're looking at it. You've got a squad that's now been together really from last summer's tour. There are a lot of guys really standing up and looking like really good internationals, like Alex here, scoring 2 tries against Italy. It's a miracle. We didn't believe it either. As much as Ben's only going to be actually in the role for a week before the first game, he's been in constant contact with Scott Johnson and the coaching staff. At one point he came over in the Six Nations just to sort of at least see the players beforehand. So yes, he's not going to be there for a long time, but also at the same time, there's still a good group of coaches and a good group of players that have been together now for just over a year and slightly longer. So I think there's a lot of positivity going into this summer tour.
Any other questions from the floor?
I've got one.
Well, there you go.
Sorry, I'm slouching. I'm trying to film at the same time. Pretty much all of you guys are on social media, and you do see a lot of their supporters, wishing well, etc., before and after the game. How much of an impact does that have for you guys before and after the game?
I think social media is a really good thing, actually. I think it's fantastic for the support. There is 2 sides to social media. Some of the players, especially after the England game, for the guys who are in the Six Nations. Got a lot of negative response. And there's also a lot of huge positive response from some fans as well, going against those guys. It's a double-edged sword, I know. But the positive support you guys can give us is fantastic in any medium possible, whether it's when you see us or over social media. And it really makes a huge difference. It's never good coming back and then sitting there and looking on Twitter and getting told you're a waste of space, you're useless, and some of the things which we said about players in the past are pretty horrendous. And I know some guys have had to leave social media, some guys haven't wanted to go out. It's a different angle, and I think some keyboard warriors are pretty bad. But you guys who support us and really positive and really behind us are fantastic, and it really makes a difference in bad times and also in good times that we're all in it together.
Alex? No? I'll ask another question. Chris, you played in the Wee Sevens series for a few seasons. Where was the favourite place you played, and how does it compare to some of the grounds in the Rabble 12?
My favourite venue has just been the tournament that's just passed this weekend, which was Hong Kong. Obviously playing sevens in front of 50,000 people, I think the capacity is. Out there was absolutely fantastic, and I think it was when I was 18, my parents managed to come over for the tournament as well, which made it all that more special. But in Hong Kong, they just seem to, obviously it's a massive party atmosphere, but they just love the rugby as well, and the whole buzz surrounding it, and the rich history with all the greats that have played there just made it absolutely brilliant. In terms of atmosphere, probably struggle to rival that in the Rabo Park at Scotstoun. But Leinster playing at the RDS has been obviously with our playoff games, and even in the league actually the fans over there are very, very good, and they make a lot of noise, and even when Glasgow do well they make a lot of noise as well, which is always nice.
I have to tell you, I played in the Hong Kong Sevens in
1984.
I did. well, I kind of did. But do you know what? It's changed days, because I actually couldn't remember who played in the final. I had to watch the recording to see who played in the final, because we get knocked out so early.
In the South Stand.
The South Stand. Any other questions from the floor? Well, ladies and gents, I'd like you to put your hands together for, first of all, for House of Fraser for putting on the event for us. To our players, Tommy Seymour, Alex Dunbar, Tim Swinson, Chris Fusaro, they were fantastic. And finally, to all of you, thank you for coming along. Thank you for your support. We need your support at Scotstoun. Let's go there. Let's get to the Rabble playoffs, and let's try to win something. Thanks very much. Thank you.